welcome to episode 14 of Knitting on the Farm podcast. My name is Angela and I'm coming to you today on the 31st of December. It is a beautiful snowy morning and the snow is falling again, which is a really nice weather to finish 2020. So I have had a lot of new subscribers, so I'm going to go through the introduction just to bring everybody up to speed. So I'll start with where you can find me. I am mostly active on Instagram, where my handle is KnittingontheFarm with the underscores. I also have a Ravelry group for the podcast and it is Knitting on the Farm, which is all one word. And then on YouTube you find me as Knitting on the Farm, and I do have an email address if you want to contact me directly, and it is knittingonthefarm@gmail.com. I want to start by thanking everyone for the lovely comments that I received for Vlogmas this year. They were beautiful. I replied, I think, to most of them. Where I didn't reply, I did hit the little heart button to make sure that you knew that I've seen the comments, and I want to thank you for each and every one of them. They really do mean so much. A little bit about me then, just for the new subscribers. My name is Angela. I'm married to Andrew, that you would have seen in the vlogs, being rather cheeky and mocking the way I podcast. We have 3 children who are married. We have been blessed with 4 beautiful grandchildren, 2 boys and 2 girls. We live on a dairy farm, or beside the dairy farm, and we milk a small number of cows, and we don't have any sheep. We do a little bit of arable, and we grow some maize for feed stuff for the cows. You'll have seen in the vlogs then that we are in the process of updating the parlour, and I can let you know that the parlour is now home on Christmas Eve, and the boys are in the process of putting it into its place now, and I will get some photos of that and I'll add them into the podcast. So I think that's maybe all about the introduction. With regard to the giveaway then for finding Mr. Claus, who lost his tree at some stage through the vlogs, I'm getting lots of emails in for where people have found him, and I'm just going to leave it open until my next podcast, which will be hopefully in 2 weeks time, and that'll just give people an opportunity to remember to send through the email. Okay, I think I will start with the project basket that I keep everything in, and I will go through some finished things. I have some short crust pastry resting in the fridge, so when I do the finished things I will pop off, sort out the short crust pastry, and then I'll come back and we can chat about the works in progress. Okay, finished things then. This is something I don't think you would have seen on the vlogs. I think I started it maybe just over Christmas, if I can remember, not sure, but anyway, I just haven't decided on a pom-pom. This is the Honey Stripe hat by Stephen West, and I knitted in some Knit Picks City Tweed DK that I had left, and that is the main colour. And the contrast grey then was from some grey DK I had in stash rather, that came from a local pound shop really, probably about 3 years ago, and I thought it was a good opportunity to use it. The pom-pom then that I have on top of it was a keyring from the same pound shop, and Andrew took the metalware off it, and I'm just holding it underneath at the moment. It actually looks a better colour on camera than it did when I was looking at it last night, so yeah, that colour might work well. I will put a button on the inside and that will hold the pom-pom in place. So I will put some photographs in of that to let you see when I put it on, attach the pom-pom later and put the hat on. So yes, I'm very pleased with that. This is the pattern. I just printed it out in black and white to not be challenged by the colorways that Stephen uses. You'll see in the pattern there that the contrast colors were striped. I just did mine plain. Really basically just to try out the pattern and see what it was like. This is what I have left. That's the Knit Picks City Tweed, and then that was the DK. As you can see, it was £1. I can tell you I have started to keep the amount of yarn that's left, and I think I have enough left to actually knit the hat in the reverse colorways. So it took 70 grams of the main colour, which is the tweed, and 24 grams of the contrast colour. So I think I should be able to reverse those because I had 250 gram balls of the tweed. I didn't go up a needle size for the main size of the hat. My friend had knitted and it looked quite big, so I just stayed on the smaller size needles. And I think that's really... Oh, the colourway of the Knit Picks was Porpoise. I'm not sure, I didn't check to see if that was still available. And the other yarn, I'm sure it's not in the shop now, but the Donegal Tweed was 55 merino, 25 alpaca and 20 Donegal Tweed, and the contrast colour was 100% acrylic. So that is the Honey Stripe hat by Stephen West. Yeah, so that's that one. Okay, then the other thing that you would have seen lots in my Vlogmas, but I'll just show it to you very quickly, was my Advent socks. I don't have them on blockers. They've been washed again and they're put away in the drawer now, probably for next Christmas. These were knit in yarn from Yarn Badger. It was called Christmas Lights, and I think I finished them sort of mid-December because I knit on them much more than one stripe a day. Beautiful yarn, and would have no hesitation in using it again. The yarn, as I say, was from Yarn Badger, and the pattern was Heel Toe Do-Si-Do by Knitting, or Lutton, I think it is, and that's the amount of yarn that I had left. I had weighed that, and that was the Yarn Badger yarn wrap. So if I played with my yarn a little and changed how much I used and maybe did a shorter leg, I definitely could get another pair of socks out of that. So that would be pretty good. I could put them in the drawer for next year. Maybe cut down on the leg length. I do the 64 row leg, so I could cut that down, do toe up socks and get away with it. So that would be good to use that up. That's a good idea. What else? Yes, I was knitting on these then through the Advent as well, and this was the blackberry mittens. You'll have seen them too, so I'll not bore you with too many details. These were knit in a kit from West Green Loft Yarns, and I'll tell you about the pattern now shortly. I'll put them on to let you see them. So that is them. A really enjoyable knit for colour work. I was worried that it might be too tight, but no, I'm really pleased with them, and the likes of today, they would be good for out for a walk. So as I say, the kit came from West Green Loft Yarns. I'm not sure whether she has any in the shop or not, and that was the pattern. It is Blackberry Mitts, and it is by Julia Reddy. pattern came with the kit, as did a lovely stitch marker of a pair of mittens, so that was very nice. And I haven't actually updated my project page or my notebook for that, but that is how much yarn I had left. Probably not enough to knit another pair, but I think I could get maybe a pair of wrist warmers out of it. I'm not sure, as I say, I haven't weighed. Then the other socks that I have finished was Andrew's socks. I think I chatted about them in my last podcast, so again I'll not bore you with the details. You can go back and check there, but these were just robin socks that I knit for Andrew in West Yorkshire Spinners. I haven't got the cherry drop ball of yarn here. I'm not sure where I've put it. Probably used it for something else. So that was the cherry drop colorway. And then this was the robin colorway. It is 100-gram balls, and it was 75% wool and 25% nylon. There's at least 35% of blue-faced Leicester in that wool, but that's them. That's them finished. So I have the two pair. That's the cherry drop then. And I did the heels and the toes in these. I think that's everything that I have finished. I have one half finished project, and this was my Christmas Eve cast on, and again you'll have seen me talk about that in the vlogs. This is one sock finished. This pattern is by Amy. Is it Amy? This was actually a Halloween sock that she had finished in Halloween colours for like a wizard's hat. And then in December she put up it knit in these colours. So some of my friends and myself started these then on Christmas Eve. And I got this one just finished last night. I knit that in yarn from Craft House Magic. That is the colourways. The main colour is All I Want for Christmas Is You. It is Ellie's BFL High Twist, 80 superwash and 20% nylon, and that's our band. The green was the mini that came with the main colour, and the other colour is called so that is the pattern. You can see it done as the wizard colours. It's a paid for pattern, and very clearly written, written for 3 sizes, and each size has been given the instructions individually, so it's a really clear pattern. Would be fantastic if it was your first choice of colourwork socks, because a lot of the knitting is just the plain stocking stitch, as you can see on the legs, and this is just the only wee bit of tiny colour work here. Whoops. One of the girls was saying that she was getting the little jogs in the stripes here, and my friend Ruth told me that if you slip the first stitch on the second row when you change the colour, it does away with that, and you can see that it basically does. So that's inside Amy's Boots by Laura Bailey. So I think that's going to be just the sock that I work on for New Year's Eve, I'm not going to cast anything on tonight because I want to just work on what I have. So that's my half finished thing. I am going to go now and sort out my short crust pastry, and when I come back then we will talk about some works in progress. So what is on the needles at the moment? Well, my Fern and Feather sweater by Jennifer Steingass that I showed in Vlogmas and talked about in some of the other podcasts, nothing more has been done to it. I think I've put it back onto the needles, maybe ready to start to knit it, but I haven't done anything. I just wasn't feeling it over December. I have another pair of socks on the needles then, and these are the Apple Muffin socks by Gwen Mueller. Excuse the lines in the print. These are a beautiful sock, stunning. I am enjoying it so much, and they were put to the side just to start the Christmas Eve cast on. So I have the heel and the heel turn done, and that is the sock. This was the November colorway. It just arrived quite mid-December, I think, and as soon as I seen it, I just thought of this pattern, and it matches so well. I think, you know, some yarns that are very light in colour and you know, they lend themselves to lace and to a particular style of pattern. It's like striping works so well with the heel toe do-si-do pattern, and this here just works so well with that pattern. It just gives a nice sort of chunky, rugged feel, and I think these would be perfect probably for Andrew. So that's as far as I've done, and I haven't the second one started. I just want to get my Christmas Eve cast on finished. This yarn was called Pheasant. It was based on the pheasant, and how true is that to the pheasant? I mean, when you think of the plumage and things and the colours, that is just so perfect. This yarn is from Sherry Iris Designs, and her December colourway has arrived, and it's going to be for Christmas Eve cast on, God willing, 2021. So that's the other pair of socks that are on the needles. There's the two pair, and I'm definitely not going to cast on a third pair because that gets me a bit stressed. Then the final item that I have on the needles, you wouldn't have seen in Vlogmas, it is the Round and Round cowl, which is by Kay Lutton again, the Crazy Sock Lady. She knit it for using advents, if you were using minis, etc. But I am using just one colour, or one skein rather. That is, let me see if I can show you that. It's a paid for pattern. I always wanted to use or to try a yarn from a homespun house. It's expensive, and import duties and customs fees and things just make it totally impractical for me to purchase. But there is a group on Facebook called Yarn Snobs, and I was looking down it, and there was a skein of a homespun house. I think it's probably one of her older skeins because it is the older label. It is a plump merino fingering. It was called Jingleberry, and you can see the content there. It is an 80/20, and there's 370 meters, so it is that wee bit more plump, it says. But this is as far as I have got. I think I have about roughly the 50 grams in there. Let's see if I can. It's nice colourway. To describe it, they are could I say, vibrant colours with a dull finish is about the best way to describe it. It is a nice enough. I'm hoping when I wash it and block it that it blooms like as it says, plump. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted on that. So I'm just going to finish off the podcast then with some chat and news with you, just as it's the end of the year. We had a lovely Christmas. You'll have seen I put a Vlogmas up just for Christmas Day. It was very quiet, and the week between Christmas and up until today has been very quiet as well. And although this Christmas was very different, I've had a great sense of peace and have felt quite content and been able to just relax and do some knitting and baking and just be quite chilled between Christmas and the New Year, which I had promised myself I was going to take a break, and that I did. This time of the year then I usually just finish up my journals for the end of the year. I do a little bit of reflecting over the past year, though this year to reflect over 2020 is quite painful and it's sad, but as I start looking forward into 2021, we have to be positive and we have to use the glimmer of hopes that we've been given to hope that we have a better year. And here in the UK, knowing yesterday that another vaccine for COVID has been announced that can be used, that is a good glimmer of hope, and as our Prime Minister said, there is definitely light at the end of the tunnel. So every year I choose a word for the year to try and focus on, and I also like to choose a Bible verse or verses for the year that sort of tie in with the word and help me to achieve some goals as the year goes on. So this year the word that I have chosen for 2021 is contentment. And it's very easy to be content when things are going well and you have everything around you that you need, but it is much more challenging to be content when things aren't going so well, isn't that right? And I want to focus this year on being able to be content with the good times and content with the bad times. The Bible verse that I'm using for inspiration for that is 3 verses, and they're found in Philippians chapter 4, and it's verse 11 to 13 if anybody wants to look that up. That's my go-to verses for this year. I think as well as focusing on the word and contentment, I need to focus more on Christ and how he can help me to fulfill my word for the year. So that's all I really wanted to chat about. I did have a section here just about future plans, but I'm going to talk about it in January, and I'll pull the winners then for the Santa Claus giveaway, as I've said, and we will start a new year and try and start it with positivity, and I can chat to you then about some new ideas that I have. So I'm just going to wrap this up now by thanking each and every one of you for subscribing and becoming part of Knitting on the Farm's little YouTube channel. Never did I think this would happen, and just to wish you every blessing for 2021. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in a couple of weeks. God bless.